Imagine asking today's biggest tech questions to a 25-year-old Steve Jobs. This is that interview. From 1981, he predicted the future of AI, automation, and why simple tech costs more. Jobs predicts AI's core promise, offloading mundane tasks to free human intellect for creativity. This is central to the modern debate about AI in design, writing, and problem solving. Get ready to have your mind blown. What fundamental human need does the personal computer fulfill that larger computers cannot?
Probably the best way to explain that is through an analogy. When you look at the invention of the first electric motor in the late 1800s, it was only possible to build a very large one. And it was very, very expensive, and therefore it could only be cost justified for the most expensive or large applications. And the electric motor really took its next step in proliferation when somebody hooked a long shaft to it and ran it down the center of a factory. Through a series of belts and pulleys, brought that power down to maybe 15 or 20 individual workstations, thereby cost justifying or sharing that horsepower among some medium-sized applications. But the electric motor really achieved a true proliferation in the society with the invention of the fractional horsepower electric motor. And at that point, the horsepower could be brought directly to where it was needed on a personal scale, cost justified for a small number of things. And we see the same thing, the same evolution if we examine the history of computing. The first computer, ENIAC, in 1946, was designed primarily for weather and ballistic calculations, very large tasks. And the next revolution in computing was in the 1960s with the invention of what's called time sharing. In essence, sharing one of these very large computers with maybe 40 or 50 terminals scattered through a company, and thereby cost justifying it for medium-sized applications.
Despite the excitement, why isn't the home computer market fully taking off? And what does the term home truly mean for tech?
Now, the home market hasn't really taken off. It's probably the smallest of those four I've listed. We view the home now not as a market really, but as a location in which personal computers are used for a variety of functions sometimes.
You famously called the computer a bicycle for the mind. How does this tool fundamentally amplify human ability?
We think we're basically fashioning a 21st century bicycle here, which can amplify an inherent intellectual ability that man has and really take care of a lot of drudgery to free people to do much more creative work.
Will personal computers become as common as household appliances like refrigerators in the 21st century?
Over 97% of the kids that graduate from high school have hands-on experience with an Apple before they graduate. Now, these kids are growing up learning how to use this new tool in many, many phases of their life. They're hitting college, the same thing's happening.
In an age of increasing automation, how do personal computers empower humans to be more creative?
We've seen a dramatic increase in the creativity of people in dealing with a problem. Rather than doing the drudgery, rather than using traditional tools, people are freed to think about the conceptual issues involved and the creative issues involved and use the computer actually to plow through the drudgery. This is in education, where students can actually learn at their own pace, where they can interact with a computer rather than just having a one-way communication through the medium of television or books. They can actually interact with the medium. We're seeing this in the professional sphere.
How are personal computers fundamentally changing job roles? And are they making human tasks obsolete or enriching?
Well, I don't think personal computers are making anything obsolete in the sense of what people do. I think they're enriching what people do. Again, there is a common conception that people have of computers, which is more along the lines of 1984.
In an era where technology is becoming more complex, why is making a device simple to use so expensive?
That's the paradox in our industry right now. To make a computer simpler to use requires a more sophisticated computer. That's part of the reason the home market doesn't exist yet, because if you think about it, the home user needs the easiest to use computer, therefore the most sophisticated, therefore one of the most expensive.
In the burgeoning tech culture of Silicon Valley, what defines true entrepreneurial spirit, and how do you build a visionary team?
This Santa Clara Valley, which we all refer to affectionately as Silicon Valley, is probably one of the finest examples of what I call sort of an entrepreneurial risk culture anywhere in the world. And both my partner Steve Wozniak and I both grew up here. And really some of the people that founded companies around the area, Hewlett and Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard and others, were really our role models, our heroes. And we like to think that we're carrying on that tradition.
The enduring bicycle for the mind analogy is timeless. It emphasizes the computer not as a replacement, but as an extension of human capability. This idea is even more potent with generative AI. Please subscribe for more.